Today on Sauna Talk, we re-welcome Jon Sabes. Jon is a returning Sauna Talk guest, first being a guest for episode number 61, and we rejoin together again on the same bench for this second episode. Jon spends most of his time with his wife and family in Los Angeles and also Baja, Mexico. He was back to Minneapolis for a winter weekend just recently, and we met for a cross-country ski on Lake Minnetonka and then settled into his sauna, which is right on the shoreline of the lake. So it was a very up north, northern Minnesota vibe and scene. And we sat down on the bench, and I brought in my recorder to bring this episode to you. We discuss his new book, Healthy, Wealthy Longevity, and in his book you will learn some practical strategies to help you live a fulfilling, happy life. On the bench, we discuss a few key takeaways, including number one, intentional living, how small, consistent actions can lead to significant improvements over time, with compounding effects, how minor daily habits, whether positive or negative, accumulate, profoundly impacting your overall well-being. And number three, a holistic approach, how to recognize the synergy between physical health, financial stability, and emotional happiness. Through practical advice and insights, Healthy, Wealthy Longevity serves as a guide for readers aiming to intentionally design a life rich in health, prosperity, and joy. There are several nuggets in his new book that stay with me, and you'll get to hear some of them right now. Oh, before I forget, I've been using Jon's daily journal for about a month now. It's insanely good. And if, like me, you're looking to get your train back on the track, I recommend you order his pocket journal and make it a part of your morning routine. The journal helps me organize my goals and tasks. It helps ground me with gratitude and appreciation, helping me on my journey towards living a happier life. My wife has been at it too, and she actually lost hers just recently and is picking up a new one. So you can do that. You can pick right up one page at a time. And P.S. Jon is a fellow board member of the Sauna Research Institute, and there are some great things brewing in that area with sauna research globally. And those of us interested in sauna will be hearing more from Jon Sabes and SRI. Until then, please enjoy this episode with Jon Sabes. Greetings. This show is brought to you by Sauna Build, Start to Finish. This is a book that I wrote in 2013, now in its fourth edition. It's for the DIY sauna builder, the casual sauna builder. You may be an accountant, you may be a lawyer, you may be a father, you may be a mother. This is a slow and steady approach to sauna building, from start to finish. We go through Finnish rules, British diplomacy, American adaptability, and bring you a full spectrum guide to building your own sauna. Indoor electric, outdoor wood-fired. We cover it all. Just keep in mind the Holy Trinity: heat, steam, ventilation. We get those three covered, you're on your way to building a great sauna. To order the book, go to saunatimes.com. Up at the top, click ebook, and get your copy today. It's sauna time. So, Jon, what did you just say? We're at what?
We're at 190.
And what did you just do?
She's got plenty of heat. Yeah.
What did you just do here?
We just, I let the sauna breathe. I flashed open the door, opened and closed it about 10 times, and got a bunch of air to move in here. And you can hear the stove starting to really cook because we pushed some oxygen through here. And I said it wasn't like it was going to get cold in here.
No, we got plenty of heat for us. So tell us about your last 36 hours. Like, where have you come from and what have you been up to, Jon?
Last 36 hours. We're in Wayzata, Minnesota right here on the bench. and I came from the Baja down in Mexico. I built a house down there. It's an off-grid home right on the beach in Baja, Mexico. And I've been down there since November, and I just got up here to have a few snow days with some friends.
Fantastic.
And we got snow. We got 8 inches of snow last night.
I think the sauna gods knew you were coming because we haven't had snow this
I noticed that when I landed. In fact, when the plane was coming across, I'm looking down. It was a beautiful afternoon in the plane. I'm looking across. I said, "There's no snow anywhere."
Yeah.
It was really amazing.
Right. And the idea with no snow is we could just drill a hole in the ice. We are literally 30 feet from about 4 feet deep of Lake Minnetonka, fresh, spring-fed.
Yep.
Yeah, but we'll snow angel here.
We're gonna snow angel. We're not cutting a hole. I'm guessing that ice is 3 feet thick right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we would need some more professional, we say auger tools to get that going today.
True that, but what did we just do just now on the lake?
We just met up on the lake on a cross-country ski because we got about 6 inches of fresh snow out on that lake, and it was a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and the sun is beginning to set on the westerly sky, and it's quite beautiful.
I was joking just as we were getting ready for sauna here that this may be the 108th episode by the time it's published, and I don't know if I've ever taken notes when I sauna talk. I certainly like to do these on the bench as much as possible, but we're going to talk about your book. 3 words, and these 3 words and what they mean for you. And I blew through the book with my pen in hand, and I have a handwritten a few notes that we'll refer to. And I'd like to focus, those listeners of Sauna Talk, this is Jon's second appearance on the podcast at the same location, on your bench. And I encourage people to listen to part 1 with Jon Sabes, Sauna Talk. We talk a lot about sauna, specifically in the build. Jon and I co-designed this sauna we're sitting in, and so many cool nuggets of sauna building, as well as epigenetics. We talked a lot about that. But I'm teeing the ball up for your book. Tell us the 3 words and how they interrelate for the title and the meaning of the book.
Well, congratulations on 108th episode. It's incredible to see you keep growing your practice and expanding the horizons of sauna times. And for your listeners, the name of the book is Healthy, Wealthy Longevity. And the subtitle is The Good Things in Life for as Long as Possible. And I think you can just say those words. I was trying to think of the title of the book one day. I think I was out on a big long walk, and I was trying to, what's the name of the book? Healthy, Wealthy Longevity.
Yeah. The
Good Things in Life for as Long as Possible. And I think it sums it up.
Yeah.
I really, yeah.
They're great. They're 3 great words. I'll just dive into the middle one first, because when you hear the word wealthy, and you talk about this in the book, the default quantifier is money, I guess, and you do amazing stuff in here to help people understand what income and earnings and equity and these aspects. But wealthy is a bigger term than assets and money. And want to care to comment on that?
Yeah, I think that's what I really get out of the book is about financial prosperity. And so, what I do say in the book is that, in order to increase the odds of living the life of your dreams, right, you really want to focus on good health, and you want to have a degree of financial prosperity. And I'm not saying you get to decide how much, that's a very individual construct, but then financial prosperity and wealth are 2 different concepts where and I really kind of go into that, where wealth really is the opportunity to experience life. It's the patina of life. That's a wealthy life. And a wealthy life has a lot of experience, and it's got richness, and it's got depth, and that's not financial wealth. That is a different concept. Mm-hmm. it's part of it. Like we all know that money creates freedom. It creates opportunity. But that's a subset of the idea of wealth.
Beautiful. You mentioned that work is how we create earnings. And then controlling spending is how we create savings. You talk a lot about saving, frugality, especially at a young age. Talk to us more about that line.
I think. Well, first of all, I think the book will be, if there were a targeted audience for the book, of which, by the way, I don't know that there is.
Yeah.
I think there's something for everyone in this book. It's what I would describe as a self-help book on how to live the life of your design, such that such that at the end of your life you can look back and say, my life was a dream. And that happened because my mother became ill during the writing of this book, and she decided to forego some therapeutic. She had cancer, and she's like, no, my life's been a dream. You don't get to live forever. So the point, I guess, going back then to financial work and savings and money, I think there's a lot to be said about that, and a lot, there's a lot that's said that says, well, money doesn't equal happiness, and it's like, well, I think that may be true, but what's the phrase? Charlie Munger, who's was Warren Buffett's partner, said, "Yeah, money can't buy you happiness, but you can't buy any money with all the happiness in the world." And so this idea of like, well, what is money, and how do you get it, and how do you keep it, and so there's so much to be said about your work. And saving, and when you work, you don't spend. Yeah. I really like that. Yeah, I focus a lot on work. So how do you find good work? How do you find work that you're passionate about, that creates economic, but also gives you purpose and reward. And so there's this part in the book where I examine there's different lifestyles of. What do we talk about? YOLO, you only live once, and then FIRE, which are like extreme savings plans to save and retire early. Those are very extreme.
Extreme, yeah. So, diametric principles.
Yeah, super.
In a way, right?
So, but like the book is written for most of us, where we don't really live on those extremes, and so then how do you do this? And I give people some practical advice. I start with financial literacy, which I think is so important, and it's undervalued, and in the importance of achieving and maintaining financial prosperity, particularly, again, which I'm writing this book about, into old age. So it's hard to think about your older self when you're 30 or 40 or even 50 years old, but you really want to be 70, 80, 90 plus years, and you want to be in good health, and you don't want to be stressed about money. So
you take things in the book way beyond the practical and into, dare I say, even the spiritual and stuff. And, a line that resonates with me, you mentioned, abundance awaits those who believe in its promise. And a lot of intention, mastery, mastery of like positive thinking, and I also so I'll pause on that. Anything on that you want to share?
That's a great line. Did I write that?
You wrote that line, brother. I do this once in a while. I pull these. I'll read this again.
Abundance awaits those
who believe in its
promise.
In there you were talking about self-limiting beliefs. Yeah. So there's a whole section in the book around self-mastery. And many of us are our own foil, our worst enemy. We have what I call self-limiting beliefs. I can't have that. That's for other people. I shouldn't get that. I shouldn't have this life. That's for other people. So how do we limit ourselves? Or open ourselves up.
And
you say that in that book. It's like it's an ability to be everything that you've been on this earth to do. You mentioned in there like finding your path and go full in, right?
Yeah. Abundance awaits everyone who welcomes its promise. And that's this idea of believing in yourself, believing in the world is there to provide. I mean, look at this world we live in and the abundance it produces. Yeah. I mean, we're sitting here on Lake Minnetonka. It hardly seems even real. Like it's a dream, right? I mean, it is, and so whether it's this or simply, you don't have to go very far in the world to see people living in really much more difficult situations and scenarios. And so whether you're here, if you're in the United States, you live in abundance. Okay, so
we've won a lottery.
You've won the lottery. The ovarian lottery, right? Warren Buffett, and I talk a lot about that concept. So you've already won the lottery. And so how do you then access the winnings of it? Well, first you have to be of a state of mind, right, to acknowledge, like, okay, we won the lottery here. I'm 10 fingers, 10 toes. I'm not starving. I don't have war. I don't have disease and pestilence all over me. I mean, my God, I'm actually warm and it's cold out. So let's just start with those basics and then realize you've already won.
John, how long have you been journaling?
I think I'm going on probably 10 years-ish. I talk about journaling in the book as, again, I try to give some practical tips, some things that have really worked for me, and journaling is one of those, specifically a type of journaling, and I go into that, and it's a journaling technique that I got from listening to Tim Ferriss, and Tim was describing, I forget the 5 hour, not the 5 hour journal.
The 5 minute journal.
5 minute journal, thank you, and it's prompt journaling.
Yeah, you use that term prompt journaling.
Prompt journaling.
Tell us what that means to you and as definition.
Well, prompt journaling is simply you open your little journal and on the first line it says, well, what are you grateful for today? Yeah. Write something down, because you believe me, you have something to be grateful for today. Okay,
that's right.
And then maybe at the end of the day, what could have gone better today? Because believe me, there was something that could have gone better. And I don't care if it's like, I shouldn't have got mad at my dog, right? I mean, it's just a dog, right? Yeah. Or I should be nicer to my wife. Whatever it is, like I should bring a smile to any. So that's prompt journaling. And I began designing these like little journals because I saw the 5 minute journal, but they were big. And I'm traveling for work all the time, and I wanted these other little things, and so I actually designed my first one. I went to Kinko's, had a little spiral bind, right, and so it became a Kinko's thing.
Just interrupt you.
Yeah.
In the book, page 212, I've printed it off, and I've been doing it the last week.
I'll give you some, so I have them printed. Yeah. I'm going to give you some. They'll be available soon on Amazon. If I could get Amazon, if you're listening, help us get our seller page up.
Yeah, right. And so you developed that one page. In the 4 at the top, one of them's drink a glass of water.
Yes.
You developed all of that.
Yeah, all of that was.
I find it brilliant, by the way. It's what again, back to this reference. You give credit to Tim on this with the 5 minute. But so I read The Artist's Way. You know the book The Artist's Way.
I think I do. I mean, I don't have my perfect recall on today.
And so journaling is part of the. You do this this thing for like 3 months, and it's pretty intense. It's like pulling out the art in all of us, and the journalist exercise is hard. I mean, it sounds like, okay, she says 3 pages a day. Yeah. And you sit down and you start writing 3 pages, and it's just maddening, man. Like
so real quick. 3 things I want to point out. First of all, I was up with some of my good friends this weekend. We asked what are we doing this week? I was hanging out with the guys from the Blue Zones. Dan Buettner, I had the blessed opportunity to be with Dan Buettner with the Blue Zones and his son Danny and a crew of just incredible individuals. So shout out to all you guys, right? And we were playing broom ball and going skiing and saunaing and cold plunging, and it was just like magical. Okay. Point being is, so I handed a bunch of those journals out this morning, guys, and this young kid, Drew, he was like, oh shit, this is like that 5 minute journal thing, except it's small and it can fit in my hand. I said, that's the whole point, is you can put it in your pocket. Yeah. So that's the first, it's a very tactical, it feels good in your hand. The same way as my partner in business has been journaling like you described for years now. Stream of consciousness, right. Well, He's known I've been doing these journals for a long time, but he never picked it up. Well, we're coming to our staff meetings, last staff meeting, he's like, by the way, this fucking journal that I'm doing, look at how I'm writing all over the fucking place on this thing. It's changed my life. Yeah. Now that brings up a whole phrase, which is it's not in the book, which is there's no excusing man's or woman's indifference to themselves. Here was this tool. I've known Tony for 30 years, right? There was this tool right in front of him. Yeah. He wasn't ready for it, and that's okay.
Totally.
But he got it, and he's using it. So that's another point. The third point I just want to make about journaling and why prompt journaling, and it's really short, it's tiny, I don't give you a lot of room to write, they're little, is the idea is you get, and this goes back to abundance for those who welcome its arrival, is you get out of, this is my experience, okay? You get what you think about all day long. So your goal is to focus your mind on what you want, and hopefully that it's harmonious with the rest of society, right? We don't want you to be a bad actor, because that does not. But if you can focus on what you want and get to your inner narrative and keep that focus locked on what you're grateful for, what your priorities are for the day, who you're doing things on behalf of, how it could have been better, all these things, you increase the odds dramatically of getting what you want. And that's the point. It's a tool.
In the book, you talk a lot about these small steps, incremental steps, and I also, it's getting dark, so I'm reaching for my reading glasses, but I wrote
it's getting hot too.
We want to sit out, or are you okay?
I'm
Give
good.
it another 5? All right, we'll do a little water, and we'll keep talking, but I want to talk about small steps, and you said something like, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't read this.
Yeah, you're good.
Something about biologically, man is not meant to think way down the road, like it's only what's in front of you.
Yeah.
How does that relate to your journaling and these small steps?
Again, biologically, we are wired for short term. Over the history of time, right? It's what animal's going to eat me? Am I going to have shelter tonight? Yeah. What tribe is going to raid our village? Okay, that's how we're wired. Okay, so I need to procreate. So we are wired biologically this way. You have to counteract that in some way to think longer term. Yes, yeah. And my point is, you can do that with journaling as a way to help train your mind to stay focused on the little things that over repetition, over days and weeks and months and years, compound all aspects of your life in health, money, happiness, experience, so that at the end of the day, after many, many years of experiencing as much of it as you can, taking the good with the bad, knowing that that's part of your journey, is to say, my life's been a dream. It's just kind of that simple. Yeah. You just want to be there, you know? So how do we do that?
What I love about the journal, the prompt journaling, is there, again, to your point, it's very short, and there is a key section in there, like 3 things. What are my 3 goals of today? Yep. And this is a checklist, which is a very practical approach, right? A lot of people have to-do lists, and they go on forever, and they get lost. But when you break them down into just repetitive, bite-sized...
Today. What's the saying? How do you swallow the whale? One bite at a time. Should I turn that off?
I think we're good. Okay. I like it. So there's a quote in there about think small and upstream, about small actions and habits as lifestyle changes. And I think it's relevant to the journal and this one bite at a time concept. What about that, John? Any thoughts to that?
Well, again, in the book, and like we were just talking about, how do you swallow the whale one bite at a time? It's the only way you accomplish anything significant, meaning building a significant life of your own design of whatever that is one day at a time. You get these long lists we were talking about. You get too long of a list, of a to-do list, you don't get nothing done. So what are the only 1-2 things you can only really do at any one time? And you have to you want to think upstream. So you want to do these things earlier so that they have a chance to compound. And I talk a lot about compounding from not a financial perspective. Obviously, we all know compounding interest and the example that, if you put $1 away starting when you were 20 years old, by the time you get to 60, you're going to have $10 million, and none of us do this. So but the point is this applies to your health and your life. Every aspect will compound downstream if you take these smaller actions upstream. And I use this analogy of the Grand Canyon and small water drops falling thousands of miles away aggregate over time to create Colorado River, to create this thing called the Grand Canyon. It's very far in space and time and in scale, but look what it can accomplish. And so I use that analogy to life.
Excellent. I think about sauna building in this realm. And think about where we're standing here, John. I mean, you didn't start with the sauna we're sitting in. You started with a mobile sauna and got a feel for it. And then we build our sauna sort of one thing at a time. We frame the structure and we get in there. Then we figure out where the common wall is going to be. And then it's a matter of, okay, insulate, and then maybe L benches could be done later, if at all. Start with stadium benches. So maybe there's a parallel here about these bite-size. It's a daunting thing to build your own sauna. So think about it in bite-size increments, perhaps.
Don't be in a rush. Good things take time.
Yeah.
It goes back to that patina.
Yeah.
Enjoy the experience.
Beautiful.
We rush. We want the end point. Mm-hmm. There is no end point in anything.
Yeah.
It's a journey, so enjoy it.
Yeah.
And like you talked about, we enjoyed many aspects of this sauna build. When it was a temporary mobile sauna at one point, and then we did this and we did that. So enjoy
the journey.
Enjoy it.
Beautiful. This expression, it's a common one. What would you say to your 20 or 30-year-old self? You kind of flip that around. Can you tell us a little bit about how you flip that that common question that people ask in a different way?
Yeah, in the book, and I flip that around where I say, what would your 90-year-old self or your 80-year-old self tell you today? What would he or she want you to do, like right now, so that your 80 or 90-year-old self go, gosh, Glenn, thank you so much for doing that, because now when I'm here in this place where I want tranquility, I want peace of mind. Right, that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
And you can then look back again and say, oh, so I flipped that question. That's a real common question. It's really hard. I write about this one too. It's really hard to think of ourselves as this older self. It's really a difficult construct, but yet you can probably pretty accurately predict who you'll be, because you are the sum total, right, of everything you do and think.
Yeah.
So it's not really a surprise on who you're going to turn out to be.
One of the things I love about flipping that around as you do is it really it's about intention, and you speak a lot about intentions in the book and creating like the life you want to live, right? So when you're forward thinking like that, it's about the present moment, not the past.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It forces you to look in the present moment to get the future that you want.
Yeah. Excellent. I would say there's a few more like nuggets that I wanted to bring out. One of them could be this idea of in the book you bring up something I had never heard of, Pascal's wager, and an interesting twist on that. Can you share with us?
Yeah, Pascal's wager is this interesting idea that Pascal had and he wrote about, which is the Pascal's wager, which is a bet, and he posits that if you believe in God, and then if you do believe in God, there is an afterlife with heaven and everything else, and if you don't believe in God, then there is hell and damnation. Pascal's wager is, the wager is it's a no-brainer to believe in God, because there's a zero loss. You're going to get to your end of life. You're going to experience death, and if it turns out, in fact, because no one really knows that there is eternal damnation for those who didn't believe in God, well, that is a horrible bet. And so I use that analogy to believing and taking steps about that fact that if you focus on your health and you focus on your own prosperity, that you will increase your odds of getting this life that you dream. It has zero downside, and it's really all upside. And so that's where I use Pascal's wager in that same context. zero downside to believing there's a God and an eternal heaven on earth.
So you're a triathlete, and explain in numerical words the three parts of the triathlon, and then I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, more of a former triathlete. I mean, but I used to do triathlons quite a bit. I did a bunch of Ironman stuff. A triathlon is a swim, run, bike, always in that order. And it was developed over in Hawaii. It became this thing called an Ironman, which meant you swim 2.4 miles, you bike 122 miles, and then you run a full marathon, 26.2. Then you got half irons, which are half that distance, sprint distance, which is a third of that distance, and then, Olympic distance, and then sprint distance. So that's a triathlon.
Okay, so what would you say to a skeptic who says that's Pascal's wager relative to, in that context? It can't be fun doing that. That isn't. I could do maybe one of those three things if I trained for a while, but I could never do all three like back to back. Like that's.
Well, first of all, you could. So let's just say that. Okay, that's a self-limiting belief, and I write about that.
Yeah,
okay,
you do
so I'm gonna.
Yes.
But I would put that less on the Pascal's wager, really, and I put it more in the context of the road always continues, and we all hold self-limiting beliefs, but the road always continues, and what you learn by doing, and a lot of people who do ultra or longer distance activities learn the road always continues, and training your mind to know that it's as bad as it may seem in the moment, like as horrible as you may feel, as whatever emotion, your girlfriend broke up with you, this business failed, whatever it is, the road is going to continue forward, and you can and you will make it through. And so triathlons or longer distance stuff, I think a lot of us do that stuff because we get to learn. We train our brain in a controlled environment that we're going to feel really shitty at some point, but then we can make it through and we can finish. And I think that's why we do those. A lot of us, anyways. At least me. I got a lot out of it that way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little sauna,
Yeah.
and then we'll wrap up this sauna talk.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sauna, you mentioned on our first podcast, and to me several times, that sauna will always be a part of your life. Share with us a little bit how sauna is a part of your life.
I mean, I grew up going to health clubs with my dad or whatever, and we'd go to the sauna and this and that. I was kind of like, oh, okay. But it was much later in life, and I was reintroduced to sauna through you and the 612 Sauna Society. And it's really the Finnish outdoor kind of sauna experience, and it has just absolutely changed my life, and for the better. Just in terms of how I feel and emotionally engaged and outside. I mean, look at us. We're outside. We're in the snow. It's 15 degrees out.
And we didn't mind that cold wind chill on Lake Minnetonka.
Not at all.
Yeah. So we put ourselves in a mindset there, didn't we?
Yeah. So it's that. It's I'll call your overall well-being, but also at a very health level, at a molecular level, right? It's really doing some incredible. It's cleaning it's cleaning you up at a molecular level. It's stressing chemical reactivity inside your body in a way that nothing else can do, and that's why the cold plunge works so wonderful in that, the contrast, the hot and the cold. It's doing things that you can't otherwise do, and it really has tremendous health benefits, and I'm excited to have seen over the last several years working with you that's really becoming of popular acceptance and understanding, and research is involved, and you and I through Sauna Research Institute are supporting that, and that's more of that needs to happen, and I'm happy to be on the sauna journey with you, Glenn. Yeah.
Fantastic, John. Thanks for being a part of Sauna Talk. Beautiful night. The sun is setting. We're going to go hit another round. And any final words to listeners to Sauna Talk?
Healthy, Wealthy, Longevity on Amazon, and then the Prompt Journal, In the Pursuit of Happiness. If you get it, I hope it helps.